Oh man, did your hockey team just get better? Like significantly better for the coming season. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. But it was the local hockey team stealing the headlines yesterday, acquiring Winnipeg's top prospect, Rutger McGroarty, in exchange for the Penguins' own top prospect, Brayden Yager. Really unusual exchange. It's not something you generally see in professional sports, and it would take an odd circumstance for it to occur, but this was one of those. McGroarty was at the University of Michigan, did not want to sign with Winnipeg. A source up there in my second favorite city told me that this had to do with the kid having his ears filled up about how the Jets don't play their young guys, and he saw the Jets making Cole Perfetti, a young, skilled player, a healthy scratch this past season, and he just didn't like it. He didn't like the scenario. So he forces the Jets' hand, and the Penguins come in and they get a prospect who's either of the same caliber or possibly better, but who's definitely readier. And this continues the theme of the entire summer. It was on a recent episode here that I brought up what a shame it is that the Penguins' best prospect wasn't going to be able to contribute meaningfully towards Sidney Crosby's remaining time in Pittsburgh. Certainly not this coming season. That's not to say that I doubt Yager's potential. The kid can score in his sleep. Amazing shot. Really amazing shot, including from longer range. He's going to put up numbers at whatever level he's playing. But as he's built right now, with that frame, that 5'11", 176, he's going to get ragdolled. He's going to have to put on more weight. He's going to have to put on more bulk. He's going to have his Jack Hughes sophomore year in Newark, where he realizes that no matter how much skill and speed you've got, you can't afford to get ragdolled. That hasn't happened yet. And if it hasn't happened by August, it's not going to happen in time for the coming season. And that's why no one anywhere, myself included, was projecting Yager to be part of the Penguins this season. Well, guess what? Sid just turned 37, you know? And as I've been saying and lauding Dubas for weeks now, that's why he's been acquiring players in that range of their early 20s or their mid-20s. The early 20s prospects who came in the Jake Gensel exchange. The mid-20s guys he's been picking up as, kind of competition/depth pieces. The Anthony Beauvillier, Cody Glass category, where even if they aren't necessarily super productive, they're not going to be slow and they're not going to be, blah. The way this supporting cast's been for the past couple of years, both slow and blah for the most part. And all this does, in its own weird way, is fit exactly right in with that. Because now you bring McGroarty in with a very reasonable expectation that he should at least be able to compete for a roster spot out of camp. If not, then go ahead and get his figurative feet wet in Wilkes-Barre and make it back up whenever he proves himself there. But he makes you stronger. He makes you deeper. And it's not just for now. It might be for the longer-term future as well. Hear me out on this, because it depends on whether you're going to hear or read about this from a Pittsburgh perspective or a Winnipeg perspective, because both fan bases struck me as being excited about this yesterday. And I get that part. That's human nature, and that involves reporters too. But here's something that really ought to stand out, even beyond a lot of the more advanced analytical assessments of this trade that suggest McGroarty is going to be the more complete and better NHL player. You've got this. The Jets had to make this trade. Penguins didn't. Repeating this for emphasis, if the Jets don't sign this young man, he just walks away and they lose a significant asset in the first-round pick. Everybody knows that. That's not an industry secret. The Jets have been shopping him for months. So one might ask, if that's the case, why did the Penguins give up their top prospect? Why didn't they just, give up one of their goaltending prospects or even ask for Winnipeg to throw in a draft pick and so forth? I'm going to guess that happened, being that Dubas has been asking everybody for draft picks on the side. But I'm also going to guess that the Jets know that this trade isn't all that equitable, that they knew they were getting a player who isn't at McGroarty's level. Not all draft classes are created equal. So the fact that both of them were 14th overall picks in a draft a year apart might make it sound like they are, but they don't have to be. In fact, they most likely aren't. So it's wholly plausible that both sides knew this. Both sides accepted this. From the Winnipeg perspective, they had to grasp that this would be unpopular, giving up a first-round pick, having that first-round pick say he doesn't want to play for you. It's all pretty unsightly, but there's no prettier way to patch that up than to say, well, listen, we gave up a 14th overall pick. We're getting a 14th overall pick back. And everyone just kind of agrees this is an even exchange. We're going to talk nice about everybody and all that other stuff, and that's what they ended up doing on both ends. And yeah, you see where I'm going? My belief right now, and that's all it can be, is that the Penguins got the better prospect. They also got the readier prospect. Win, and if somehow this kid can come through in camp and, well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, but there could be a third win in this real soon. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Brian, who says, "So, DK, it looks like it's already time to revisit that log jam in the bottom six, huh? Good problem to have. But you have to imagine Rutger McGroarty is going to get every chance to make the team. And they probably aren't planning on being the first team to ice 5 forward lines per game. 5, dude, I count 6 easy. Remember, Emil Bemstrom exists. He is the 6th line. Or at the very least, he belongs on the 6th line. But you know what? No, I don't think this does add to that. I don't think you take a young player of this pedigree, never mind the potential, just the pedigree, meaning what he can do, what he's capable of doing in the moment, his skill set, basically, and put him on the 3rd line and have him doing a bunch of different things. Just to say he's in the NHL, just to get him acclimated to the speed, the physicality, and all that other stuff. I'm not ruling out that they'd think that way. They've obviously not spoken on this. But when you're talking about someone who undeniably projects as a top 6 type, I'd think that the last thing you'd want to do, to borrow a Mike Sullivanism, is to take the stick out of his hands. Now, does that mean, he starts in camp on Sidney Crosby's left wing and you tell Drew O'Connor, hey, thanks for everything, kid, but, you're right back to being a plugger again? No. Does that mean you put him next to Evgeny Malkin and say basically the same thing to Michael Bunting? No, it doesn't. But if you're familiar with how Sullivan's scripted camps in the recent past, he'll take players like that and he'll put them with Sid and or Gino early on, just to give them that feel, maybe build up some of that in-house respect for who those guys are. Give them a little bit of gosh, wow, that you're now here with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But also to kind of send them the subliminal message that, hey, your skill is appreciated here too. We want you to be creative here too. We want you to be ambitious here too. So depending on how the Penguins feel about McGroarty's overall readiness, not just his frame, depending, for example, how they feel about his complete game, his ability to manage the puck, his ability to track back through the neutral zone, pick up guys in the defensive end. They might, sooner rather than later, have an overarching type of plan for him where they say, listen, we're going to really let him fly and be his best self in camp, but then give him some time in Wilkes-Barre. That, to me, seems more plausible than having him duke it out with somebody on a third line or a fourth line. That kid's not going to have his development accelerated by logging 5-6 minutes on the third or fourth line. He's just not. He'd need to play. So he'd either need to win a job on the top six or get that additional AHL seasoning. I appreciate the question. It's a good one. There's obviously no answer for it right now, but it's a fun conversation to have, isn't it? The whole thing's actually starting to feel a little bit fun. Let's hook up again for another one of these on Monday.